Today we're exploring Dresden. Boom! Dresden used to be the capital of the Kingdom of Saxony and nowadays is the capital of the German state of Saxonia. While they share the name and the geographic location, they are two totally different political entities separated in time. However, there are quite a few remnants of the old days. One of the most prominent is the old royal residence in the city center. The castle used to be the residence of the Prince Elector and his family. From 1806 onwards, it then was the royal residence. The castle dates back as far as the 12th century and was extended and rebuilt over and over until it reached its current configuration in the 18th century. Or just yesterday, depending on how you see it. They're still building. Much of its cultural importance, for which it is famous for these days, is well founded in the days of Augustus the Strong. He was Prince Elector in the 18th century and a patron of great art. He was initiator of world-famous art collections and constructor of many of the immensely beautiful and grandiose buildings in the city. Under his rule, Dresden rose to one of the most lavish courts in Europe. Florence of the Elbe was called and often put on one level with the Vanguard Palace of Versailles. The Zwinger is one of Dresden's most recognizable buildings and one of the baroque style's most prominent examples. It was built as a party ground for over-the-top banquets and state dinners which were held regularly under the reign of Augustus the Strong. In the 19th century its purpose was extended. The Semper Gallery was built to close the fourth side of the compound and, since 1855, it houses several public museums. Dresden Cathedral is yet another building commissioned by Augustus the Strong. It is the biggest church in all of Saxony and the Catholic cathedral of the bishopric of Dresden-Meißen. It was built after Augustus had to convert to Catholicism in order to gain the Polish crown. The church was built so grand in order to accommodate the entire Easter procession, which usually was held publicly. But Augustus didn't want to impose his Catholic practices onto his still Protestant subjects, so it was relocated into the church. But Dresden has a lot more to offer than just remainders and replicas of August's Great Dresden. One of the most impressive buildings is the Kreuzkirche. It's arguably Dresden's oldest church. This particular building, of course, is not all that old. Having suffered the fate of being bombed and burned out entirely in World War II, its looks nowadays are very much a result of that. However, on this very side, there stood a church ever since from the first days of Dresden. Even though opera in Dresden originated under Augustus, this particular building did not. It is the detailed reconstruction of the original building by the great Neo-Renaissance architect Gottfried Semper, hence the name. In its 150 or so years, the building has seen many prominent world premieres, such as Wagner's The Flying Dutchman. This impressive church, rebuilt after its 18th century Baroque version, used to be the greatest stone cupola north of the Alps, only outmatched by the Pantheon, the Hagia Sophia, St. Peter's Basilica and Florence Cathedral. Oh, and St. Paul's, which finished construction almost 40 years earlier, but let's not question the concept of north of the Alps. Dresden is also host to the White Fleet, a fleet of paddle steamers that dates back a good 150 years. With its 9 steamers, it's the oldest and biggest fleet of such ships. They serve a purely touristic and recreational purpose, streaming up and downstream from Meißen through Dresden all the way into the Sax and Switzerland. Dresden is a lot more diverse beyond the scope what could possibly be conveyed in a video. From the Kulturpalast, a relic of the GDR, to the Neustadt, a very hip student and party area, to the riverbanks of the Elbe. This list could go forever on, but this video can't. If you want to enjoy Dresden without my gibberish history talk, you should check out this video, Impressions of Dresden, or that one, Impressions of the Palace of Pillnitz. Stay safe and see you soon.